Hey, what's going on? Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's 11 o'clock. So we are live with Coffee with Creators from Adorama itself at 42 West 18th Street. I brought in my guy, Jeff Carpenter. You knew you were getting into it.
Yeah, I know.
Some of you probably being like, I've seen this guy. I know this guy. We're going to get into who he is. But before we get into that, I just want to thank today's sponsor, Canon. Do I even have to say anything? Canon, top tier brand, has been a legacy in this industry for almost like a century. Some of those iconic images in history have been shot on Canon. We're expecting some big announcements from Cinegear this weekend, probably for the cinema line, obviously. And you're a Canon user for sure. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff. So if you are a Canon shooter, let me know in the chat what you're shooting with. Let me know what glass you're like for the R series, because they've been putting out some amazing stuff. I'd like to know what you guys are into and what your thoughts on it are. So let me know in that chat. And one more shout out to Gotham Roasters. Thanks for hooking it up. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah, are we doing the same thing? Cold brew?
Yeah, I believe so.
Black cold brew, man. You can't go wrong.
No, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. All right, cool. So Gotham Roasters is one block up from Adorama at 19th Street. If you go in there, tell them Adorama sent you, say what's up, and let me know which babka you get. It's a Sophie choice between cinnamon and chocolate, and I never know what to get. I want to know what you guys are getting out there. Boop. All right, cool. So Jeff Carpenter. So I was really psyched to have Jeff on here because we've done demos together. We've been at trade shows all the time. I run into you nonstop. I feel like we're on the same wavelength with education. You are like a machine, though. Every day I see a clip from you, a reel, a short, something long form. Then there's a workshop you're promoting that you're doing in person. And I'm like, does this guy stop? I mean, what kicked in? First of all, you are a pro photographer in your own right, commercial, headshots, stuff like that, a lot of studio work. Yeah. What kicked in all the education stuff?
The education story. First of all, this is about to be the longest conversation I've ever had. Because we're always at a trade show or an expo, and we're always both going somewhere, and we're like, "Hey, what's up?" And this is going to be so.
Well, he's usually homeless.
We'll see if you can. Yeah. I brought clothes on this trip, so we're good. Yeah, that's another story for another day.
We're telling this story. This guy was around, I think it was imaging, and I felt bad for him. He was wearing the same clothes. Like, I was supposed to be here for 2 days. I'm on day 6. I'm trying to find free t-shirts from swag from brands.
I almost wore one of them today. So let me dial it back. Let's like get into that actual story of what happened. I was doing pre-con at Imaging USA. I was only supposed to, and it was a 3-hour drive. I was supposed to be there for 2 days. I was like, gonna go up, teach my demo, go back. The drive up was just like nothing but road construction. I was like, I'm not doing it. So I booked my hotel for like the extra time. So 2 days turned into 6 days. Needless to say, I only packed for 2 days. So I made a trip to the mall and then tried to just bum free shirts from everybody at the trade show.
You look like you were a beach bum without the beach. I mean, I'm talking about like he had a duffel bag. He's walking around. He's sweaty.
Oh, please.
He's going to different booths going, do you have any shirts you're giving away? I'm like, pretty soon you're just going to be wearing like a shirt made out of stickers that everyone's giving away. It was awesome. Right? It was every time I looked at him, I was like, I wonder how small of a shirt he's willing to take for free. Like,
I turned down. Cliff tried to give me a Profoto shirt, and it was a medium. I was like, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. No one wants me to do that.
Yo,
because the Profoto shirts run small anyway. So.
Yeah, they're like a nice shirt.
Yeah,
so
right.
I totally get it. I have Cliff gave me a shirt once, and I didn't even look at it. It was in the dark at a trade show, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear this tomorrow. I put it on. It came up to like here.
Actually, I lied. I did take it. I wore it and then washed it, and now my wife reps Profoto like nobody's business. So
it's worth that. Oh man. So we've been talking about a lot of the trade show stuff, but you are doing both online and you're doing a lot of in-person events. I always hear about your in-person workshops because I think that people really like them a lot. I mean, I hear about them word of mouth, which you don't get a lot as far as workshops go.
Really?
So yeah. Because I'm probably marketing to the same people like, hey, you guys want to learn about shutter drag? And like, I just went to Jeff's thing. I'm good. I'm all right. Thanks. You know, he gets to him first. But when did the education thing kick in for you? I mean,
I think like education, like for me, was never like something I wanted to do. It was not that I didn't want to do it. It just wasn't like, it wasn't something. Yeah, no, it just wasn't something that I was like, oh, I'm going to like shoot and I'm going to teach. It just, that was never on the horizon. Right. But then I started an Instagram. I started doing behind the scenes on my Instagram, I guess back in like 2017 or something like that. Really just more as a reference for myself to be able to go back and look at something if I wanted to recreate. That was before this program existed with the little 3D stuff. But so basically I was like, let me make a kind of privately public portfolio I can have and just go back and I can reference it myself. And what happened with that was people started liking that more than the actual photos. So then I inevitably, there's my daughter showing the Profoto softbox with the edge mask.
Same demo I did when they were like, "Hey, you have an hour with this." I'm like, yo, someone stand in front of this."
Yeah. I told him, I was like, make a 5 foot, like a 5 foot octa with that, and we'll be in business.
Yeah, they did a 2 foot, I think. Or
it's a 2x3, and then a 3 foot, I think, for the.
That's
octa.
a 3 foot octa. Yeah, I mean,
it's a 3 foot octa. Yeah.
I mean, that's tight for this technique, I should say.
Yeah. No, and it was like, but yeah, because I do that kind of with headshots a lot. I'll do like a 5 foot octa, throw a V flat in front of it.
It'll save you 3 lights.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You know, I tell them, it's like it's three lights out of one kind of thing. But anyway, back to my story that I keep getting distracted by. I basically started doing behind the scenes. It's kind of a reference to myself. And then people started liking doing that. And then I had a buddy who, well, not a buddy, he's a buddy now. It was just somebody I met on Instagram a while back that was like, "Hey, I'm coming through Nashville. Can you, can I follow you around and I'll pay you," basically.
Any other industry, that sounds awful.
And I was like, yeah, sure. So I didn't really have any shoots set up. So I basically like kind of set up a shoot for him. And that turned into basically my first one-on-one workshop. I was like, oh, like, is this a thing? Like, people will pay you to like, for you to teach them things. And then I started doing workshops from there. And that's really just I just kind of dove in the deep end with that. It wasn't like like I said, it wasn't something I planned on doing necessarily, but I love it. Honestly, like the teaching aspect of it is,
I mean, you can totally tell.
It's just like, I think I'm like very passionate about it because I'm a self-taught photographer and I'm like, I kind of go like into, yes. I go into it as how would I like some things that, I mean, obviously like this channel has been around and then I like learned a ton from this channel, like when I was starting out even, like, and having something, I was like, oh, like, how do I want to learn what's out there? What, like, just kind of, I was like, let me put out some content that I think like would help people that might be in a similar situation like I was. And that's kind of really where that all started. It wasn't like it wasn't methodical in any way.
Well, it's crazy because like I always tell the stories when I was coming up, like the guys I worked under were like holding all their cards to their chest until they felt like they needed you to know something to help them, or they didn't tell you anything. And you're like, what? So I got into it because Daniel was like, stop this, help people. And then I realized how much it benefits everyone.
Right.
Michael Carbajal in the chat's actually saying he knows who you are because he held the mic for you at WPPI. So we had every booth at WPPI this year had mic issues. Every booth. Yeah. Every single one. And so at Adorama booth, the lav went down, so we had to use a handheld. You tried doing a handheld mic while you're doing a demo. We both did it.
Where'd you get the lav from though?
Oh, your lab. Oh, that was a replacement lab. That was a replacement lab. So he came through with his own lab. And that's like everybody's a content creator at these things. So it's like, hey, does anybody have a lab? And someone throws a lab at you.
I do love that about trade shows is you're like, oh, let me just go run to this booth. I think I can like, rig something up for you.
But it's like,
which I love because like it's a big old community with that. But no, the mic situation at all of those was just, I was like, I'd rather just yell at this point.
Bro, so just so you know, like I'm not going to name the booth, but Joe McNally was like, I got to go do a demo at this booth over here. And I saw him a half hour later, their mic went down. Joe McNally was talking softly while doing a demo to 2 people. And he didn't care. He gave everything he could to that demo, even for those 2 people. That's solid. That's genuine. That's real. But the handheld mic situation while you're shooting live, I'm used to shooting one-handed or whatever. Shout out to, oh my God, I can't remember. I'm losing her name right now.
Emily.
But she put it in her shirt.
Well, Emily named right there. And she was like holding my microphone during my demo.
Oh, Hilmar.
And I kept... Oh,
Hilmar Smith. Hilmar Smith put it in her shirt, and I was like, but hey, it worked. It was like the biggest lav mic you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was like,
no, Emily was like trying to hold my microphone while I was like, and I move around a lot, and she was just like, and she was just like, I was like, let's just drop it.
So I think I did it the smartest personally. I did 3 whole frames, and I talked in between each one of them heavily.
Yeah.
It was like, but nobody left, so it must have been a good demo. I mean, I don't know. look, the name of the game at these shows is survive.
Yeah.
By the time you get back to that plane, you're like, oh, I probably lost half my gear somewhere.
Yeah, right.
I threw out some of my shirts. You're coming back with a bunch of swag you didn't think you were gonna have in your hands or whatever. Someone gave you a loaner gear that's worth thousands, and you're like, I gotta fly back with this.
Yeah.
You know? But it definitely, if you want to feel what a community like in your face feels like, and you can't come to something like we have here at the event space, trade shows, like make a trip out of it, make a vacation out of them.
Yeah.
You know?
I also do have a workshop this weekend.
This weekend
in Jersey.
Is it sold out?
It's not.
Oh,
I've got
shocking.
one ticket left.
Oh boy.
So
what's a workshop for you? Is it 8 hours a day? Is it a week?
yeah, it's a 1 day intensive basically. So it starts out at, we'll get there at 8:30, have some coffee, some donuts, and then just jump in. So this one's like a creative.
I have to eat up time, bro.
Hey, 9 to 5 is 8 hours. Come at 8:30. That's a bonus. But no, so this one is a creative lighting, like more on the creative side. A lot of my workshops and this is something I'm very like, I like to try and push because it's not something that I learned necessarily right out the bat, but it was like fundamentals is key. I think
Absolutely.
like if you don't know the fundamentals and you see so many photographers are just like coming in and they're like, they can like accidentally get a great shot, and that's awesome, and that sparks something, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't know the fundamentals and you can't recreate it, and me working with like on the corporate side a lot for my like 9 to 5 stuff, you need to be able to do that. You can't have a company bringing in 100 employees for 1 day of headshots and like be like, hey, the weather sucks, let's push it. You need to be able to recreate and replicate from like. And even if you're reshooting like the same company multiple times, you need to be able to replicate that light. You need to do that. So it's like, but in saying that, like understanding the fundamentals allows you to not have to think about the fundamentals. So then you can focus more of your brain power on creativity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really like where I was like, if I can learn the fundamentals, then I can just like, then I can be free to create.
Yeah, but you also have to have fundamental, like strong foundation so you can build on it. And I think what people forget is, yeah, you can try to recreate something, but what do you do when plan A goes down? Do you know enough fundamentals to figure out something that would replace this, that would substitute for that, that you can get something different with this? And that's where you don't run into that's what a pro does. We deliver, right? And if you're doing, no joke, and you can do 100 headshots. I did 400 portraits at a Grammys party. If every shot took you an extra 5 minutes, 400 times, you're eating up half your day just trying to figure out how to get out of the quicksand, So I think people don't understand that they're very quick to like, how do I do this effect?
Yeah.
Okay, but what is doing
right?
it?
Well, also I love when like because I put a lot of information on my socials about like how I got stuff, but there's certain things I don't put because it doesn't benefit you at all. Like, what's my light power? I was like, well, it depends. There's a lot of like, unless you're absolutely replicating it in the exact same room with the same lights, with the same like, even then, like, so I'm like. Sometimes I'll just be like, it was a quarter power.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, that's what Daniel does. Like, how high is that softbox? 37 inches.
Yeah.
but the reality is, I think me and Dan used to say it all the time. Like, as soon as someone in the crowd asks us what our settings are, we lost them.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the settings. That's why those settings.
Yeah.
Because and how many years did we go with Profoto not telling us the power? And everyone's like, oh, how do you work with it? Because that number doesn't mean anything to me.
Absolutely arbitrary.
It's just fluctuating based on the exposure I'm setting here.
Yeah.
I don't care unless I'm against the wall with it being all the way over full power or no power to go.
Yeah.
Or I'm worried about recycling time, maybe.
Right.
You know, but people just get fixated on, because numbers are finite, right? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
When people write down the setting and the power number, they literally think they can go home and go, okay, F56, this goes to 7.3. Why doesn't it? You missed the entire demo.
Right. Well, and that's kind of going back to why understanding the fun, like the why rather than the what or the how or whatever. Like the how is important too, I guess. But the why, but the why is really important because it's like, okay, you need to know like when I do this, what happens? Like what's the the cause and effect, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you just know that one thing's doing this, that, and the other, then you can then it's not just about replicating, but like you said, about being able to almost like pivot if something goes wrong.
And it will.
And yeah, it always does. Like if you've been to any of my workshops, something goes wrong every single time. But I actually love that because like then you can kind of see, like, get into my thinking process of like how to problem solve.
Yep.
So like if something goes wrong in a workshop of mine, like obviously I'd rather it not happen in an actual session with a client. It does, but knowing how to fix it is great. But like knowing how to solve a problem is like just as valuable as like understanding the exposure triangle or whatever. You know what I mean?
The
It's
guy I
like
worked for was like, problem solving is 90% of this.
Yeah.
Everything else is stuff that you're going to do anyway, but you're always going to be figuring it out.
Yeah.
The idea of the shot alone is a problem you're solving.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle that you're coming out. And that's kind of where I get psyched on it. I'm never really like my creative idea. Like, no, like how did I get to that from nothing? That's what I'm more into.
Yeah.
But we went through years. I don't know if you were even around during this, but there was an era in this industry where people would do demos and then just pop up an edited image and people believed it. And like, that was okay. When you go to demos where things are going wrong and they get out of it without guessing, that is the people you want to be learning from.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. I mean, what do you think we're going? I mean, we're talking a lot about actual lighting, actually shooting on set and stuff like that, but we're starting to see a lot of artificial imagery out there where people are going to start saying like, do I really need to do this kind of stuff? Where do you stand on the generated images? And you guys in the chat, let us know what you guys find helpful in workshops, what you're trying to learn out there. You're part of this. So this is why we're live.
the AI thing is a very interesting topic. Obviously, I mean, it's
hot
forefront
topic
of everything right now.
It's
You know,
so
not even
fast.
just in our industry. I mean, it's like everywhere. But I think that it's. I mean, we're not like dealing with Skynet yet, right? But it's
Are we? Are we not? Because
not that I'm
they're
aware
gonna
of.
show me ads of things I just talked about.
Yeah,
today.
no, I googled one Broadway show while I was here. That is my entire feed now.
Oh, we heard you're into Lion King. Oh,
Now I'm gonna get that. No, it hasn't been Lion King yet, but my phone's over there listening. But no, I think there's it. Like anything, like social media, like you can't, like everything can be a tool. If you're using it to fix a problem, maybe not the generative fill. Sometimes I'll be like, now I can very quickly circle that and get rid of it. I don't feel great about it, but sometimes in a pinch it works. Like
if it's a thumbnl, I don't care.
yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of like you zoom in at all and you're like, oh yeah, you can see that. But like AI editing is saving me so much time.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the Evoto. I don't know if you've used that. Like,
So I see the demos on it.
Yeah.
And they've contacted me to like try to. I'm like, do you guys know I don't like retouching? Period. Like,
right. Well, this is perfect for you then.
that's what in theory, right? In
Yeah.
theory, but then I don't like the look.
Right.
Of I want a documentative image. What I will use it for, if I have to, is if I have a ridiculously fast turnaround from a client that's expecting a commercially looking.
Right. And that's what I think it's for. I mean, it's for, I don't see how, like, I know like some people use it for like full weddings, but I was like, that's going to start adding up because they charge per like credit. There's like one export.
What's an export cost?
Like 6 cents. I mean, it's nothing, right? So like I look at it, I was like, this is for people who used retouchers previously, right? Not that I'm not trying to like put retouchers out of business here, but like, you know, it's like on the.
Feel free to write in that chat, retouchers. Feel free to write.
But I still use retouchers, but it's like for me, for something that's quick and I need it like that day. I mean, even now that you can tether into it and it's automatically edited as you, like by the time I look over to the computer, it's edited, you know, but it's cool. But I think for me, that doesn't really work because part of my upselling to a client is me selling an edited image. And if they see how easy it is, I'm like, well, now I'm like my whole, hey, pay me an extra however much money for that edit because it takes time. Now they see it doesn't take time and they're like, well, what am I paying for?
Well,
so like for me in my business, like it does the absolute like instant edit. It doesn't work. I think there's certain people like that it could, but it's just not my thing.
I think they're going to learn about it regardless, but
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that thing where it's like, it doesn't matter how long it took me to get it. This is what my price is for what I'm delivering to you, no matter
Yeah.
the method. You're getting this. Is that
Yeah.
okay with you? And some people are like, I don't care what it is. Just
Right.
do
Yeah.
it. But I think when you're looking at something like I remember when LinkedIn started becoming crazy, and I had to shoot dentist headshots and stuff like that,
It's
and
like,
they
all I
don't
do
care.
is
They're
that,
like, it's going to be this big, whatever retouch, just get me a shot. They don't even want to be there for the photo. That's the craziest.
That is 90% of my business. It's like someone who like is there because their like boss made them, or like they need a profile image for something or another. Like that's most of what I do. Super glamorous.
It's bread and butter, man.
And it pays the bills. It's like that's the.
But how long till? So, for example, right? I talked about this at one of the other episodes, which we have like 25 other episodes, guys. So if you have your first time watching this, go check them out. But I worked for a magazine locally here, and the editor has since left the country, and she's working at another place. All of a sudden, her image pops up. I'm like, this doesn't look like you. And I zoom in, I send it to her. I'm like, is this AI? Because it even had like little hair like in the wind. I'm like, there's no wind. This makes no sense with physics. And she goes, yeah, honestly, where I am, I just don't think I found a photographer I feel comfortable with. And the ones I do are charging way too much. And this was good enough for LinkedIn. And I said, when you're in town, we're going to do it. She's like, yes, I would love to shoot something. But people are okay just having a representation avatar of them on something that's that big.
And that's an interesting like thought too, because you have, I mean, even going back to like before AI was like really happening, like was that like Facetune or whatever app, right? That was
my
like,
God, that's
it looked absolutely atrocious, but people were putting it on their photos and posting all over the place. So like those are the people that are like cool with this AI photo of me looks perfect. But like I do get a lot of people who are like, I did the AI thing, it looks bad, now I'm here for the real thing.
I think we're gonna go through that. We're gonna go through that. But as it gets better, it's like, oh no. But also they have to feed images of themselves to it to then create it, which is the craziest thing to me. Is like, just go get photos. Like, what are you kidding me? I mean, people in the chat are talking. Mario's saying that even with a Voto, it can screw up. I mean, anything. If you let anything automatically do something, it'll do something you don't like.
And a lot of that kind of going back to like that program specifically. I mean, it does so much stuff.
This isn't an ad for a Voto, by the way.
No, it's not. It does so much stuff that I don't use, and I feel like a lot of it is like fixing stuff that could be done in camera. You know, like the glasses glare thing, right? Like I typically am trying to shoot where I don't have glare in glasses already.
You need to learn. I could show you how to light if you need to learn how to light. Finally, you're like a pro.
Oh yeah, please.
Dude.
After this, when we wrap up.
You like not to get the glare. Come on, man.
That's what I mean. Like but there was a feature that people really wanted, like, oh, like glasses glare. I want that feature. So it's just like a slider and it's gone, which is like amazing. But I'm like, just learn how to light it right. And then all of these features that you're asking for, like, are completely like, don't need to be there.
It's true.
But you know, they're going to try and focus. And have I used the glasses glare one? Sure. Because inevitably somebody picks the one photo where their head was looking up at the light. Like, that one looks great of me. And I was like, but the glare.
So people, and that's the other thing is we're looking at things differently than the people who are getting the photos are looking at them. They're looking at like, oh, is my double chin showing?
Absolutely.
And the weirdest things that you don't even think that, which is why I try to talk to them for a couple minutes, be like, hey, is there anything you're concerned about? And they're like, well, I have this scar here or whatever. I'm like, I think it's cool. And then they're like, oh, cool, let's do it, you know? Oh my gosh.
Well, the thing with like,
impromptu live demo. No,
right.
guys. I got way too much going on to do a demo today. But hopefully we do get Jeff in here to do an actual demo because he, you know, does these, but he only does it for 60 seconds at a time, apparently. So, I mean, so how do you feel about the short form media that we're doing? I mean, I think it's perfect for what you're doing, like quick banger, tip.
Yeah, it's fine.
You don't have a YouTube channel, right?
I have one, but it's like, YouTube's really hard.
Tell me more. Oh, is it?
Yeah. And I don't know how he's doing it.
I don't know how I'm doing it either.
But no, it's I have a YouTube channel and I just don't think I've like found my voice on there yet. Like, I'm not a review guy, right?
You post every day. I can't find my voice.
I'm on for YouTube. It's different. Like
all you gotta do is, instead of doing 3 different ones, going my top 3 tips for glasses glare. And now it's a full video.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay. You're lazy. It's all right.
It's a lot of work. And like it doesn't pay me.
That's what people don't get, that it ends up costing you, and then the energy, and then it's out there forever, and it's costing you like mental sanity. You know?
Yeah, and then I've got I don't want to spend all of my free time doing YouTube videos personally. I mean, I do them and I put them up there. So go to Readylight Media on YouTube. It's there, and then maybe that'll get my view count up, and then the algorithm will the big AI overlord.
Everybody just comment on every one of his videos, like, get going already. Tell them to just stop being lazy.
I've got videos like that I've made. I just like. There's also a ton of work that goes into like posting them, the thumbnail, all of the tags, all that stuff. I tried to hire a guy on Fiverr to do it for me, and
I wonder how that went.
Absolutely, don't do it.
Fiverr not being why?
Well, it was more than $5, so I was like, this must be worth it.
One day there'll be an AI admin for YouTube. Watch that.
Well, they're trying to do that already, like with like the analytics kind of stuff of like here, like I mean, it's AI is getting integrated into everything. And I think it's working better in certain things, but you know.
I just wish it wasn't trying to replace people, but making things efficient for people.
I saw something that was really interesting. It was like, I want AI to do my laundry and do my dishes, not to do everything, so I have time to do my laundry dishes, something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's a good way to look at it, because it's like, yeah.
The whole creative thing kills me, because like I don't care what a machine is feeding me. I'm sympathetic to a human being that's living a life the same way I have to live a life, and I want to see their point of view and commentary on things. The whole people just hitting like, oh, unicorn fighting dragons, and then I see something like, that's cool if you need something junky for a thumbnail, something that's just disposable, but like, don't feed me actual pieces and go, to me it's not a tool in that sense. But what's his name? Chris Knight was showing me he needed a background for a commercial campaign. He needed like some like apocalyptic scene or whatever. And he got this low res thing generated. And then he paid Adobe something that they add resolution to it.
Yeah.
And it was like that. He's like, I just saved myself so much time. I'm delivering to client. So then you get the next job because that client talks good about you.
What is and I'm like very curious about the like commercial use of AI images, like for that, like where
commissions?
Yeah. Like who owns that?
Well, I think that's the thing, is the databases have to be free resources. Like that's what Adobe's doing right now, is they're paying photographers for the data. Right.
So basically they're pulling from Adobe stock, right? Or like some images they already have, and then they're just picking little bits and pieces of every little image from the database,
and
right?
making something happen. I guess, yeah. But I guess it's like anything else. Oh my gosh. Alien autopsy.
AI is taking over.
Well, I should have changed my screensaver to stop being like alien autopsies and stuff that I shot. I mean, that was like 12 years ago. Anyway, I think there's a discussion to be said for, do you get to use it as a licensing, like how we get to use Photoshop? We don't own Photoshop.
Right.
So are you getting a license to using an image? And if so, what's the length of that license?
Right.
So I don't know. We should have a lawyer on here and talk about this stuff.
But I'm legitimately like curious.
Well, this is what PPA is in Congress for us. APA, ASMP, they're all in Congress trying to be like, yo, this is stealing from people who are actually making. You invested your life into learning how to do this, your money in the gear, your time and sanity to get it going, and then all of a sudden, your watermark is showing up in an AI generated thing because it was on the internet, which is what Instagram's doing right now. Did you see that whole thing?
No.
So Instagram is claiming that because you signed an agreement or said okay to an agreement, they can use the entire Instagram data to feed a meta AI. So your images, so someone could be like, alien autopsy, like just popped up, and part of that could be my image because they have my image up there on Instagram somewhere.
I guess that makes sense, but I don't agree with it. But it's like, that's the thing. It's like the whole who reads the pages and pages of like thing. You just scroll to the bottom, you're like, accept.
It's like that South.
I know. I was about to say that
with the human centipede.
Why won't it read?
Why won't it read? Because either you want to use it or you don't. It's not about whether you agree with the agreement, because they don't give you an option to tailor the agreement.
Right.
So if they gave me options of like, okay, I'll have limited use if I say yes to this and no to that. Never the case. It's like,
it's you want to use a program, you must sign away your soul kind of thing.
Oh, you want access to streaming music? Well, whatever it is.
Right.
It's really, really crazy. I think we're going to get to a place like, kind of like the royalty-free music. I just think that they're going to, the places I see AI really knocking away jobs is like stock photography, because stock photography they're never looking for something specific shot. They need, hey, we have a lawyer ad campaign, I need a gavel banging on a desk. They'll just AI that, so then what's the new avenue for photographers to find a client that would need shots that might not have needed before. Like where are we going? I mean, it's tough, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's because like I shoot.
First.
Yeah,
they're the first thing. They're the first on the beach.
Yeah. Because I shoot. Like I photograph people mostly, so like it's I didn't think about like stock photography really being like, oh yeah, that can be very easily replicated and like okay with it. I think the only way that they're gonna like not be able to work like that is if like law gets passed where like you can't use it. You know what I mean? Like
well, that's what's happening right now. They're trying to it's almost like the beginning of the internet. Like what is what? Well,
we're in a whole new frontier. Like we've never been here before. So like we don't know what to expect. And I don't think anybody expected AI to like catch on as quickly as it did
like
either.
A year later.
And I know. It's just like, oh, hey, here's all this stuff. And it's just doing it for everybody, and it's like
everybody saw the money in it. And that's what propelled it so forward, but it's up to the masses to be okay with ingesting what we're getting from AI. If they put out an AI generated movie, I'm not going to go.
No.
But if you don't go and they don't make money, guess what they don't do?
They don't do it anymore.
Do it again.
Yeah.
We're in a really real, but I do think because we're in such a wild west, we don't know where the chips are going to settle. And I say that because you're talking to a guy that forever ago, I was like, there's no answer to Napster or the music stealing. I'm like, how could you stop this? And
Lars Ulrich came around.
Yeah, Metallica was the one, right? No, but I really thought there was no solution. I'm like, it's out there. I have the files. I can just share them with you. How could they stop this? And they found a way, man. Yeah. I mean, people were like, you know what? I'll pay $10 a month to stream anything I want to listen to. Period.
I think there is because what was the BitTorrent stuff that was like around, right? And it was like, I have a funny story about that. I downloaded. Speaking of South Park, I downloaded Team America World Police when it came out, right, on BitTorrent. And now, like, the FBI is going to burst in here, like, you got to give it back. Well, anyway, joke's on me. You've seen that movie. You've seen that movie, right?
You risked everything for a puppet movie.
Which is a hilarious movie, by the way. But it starts out in France, right? And they're, like, speaking French. I apparently downloaded the French version, didn't know it, and it was like an hour into the movie. And I was like, when are they going to switch to English?
Wow.
Yeah, anyway, then I rented it or whatever from Blockbuster. There's probably still around.
My God.
There's still one up in like South Dakota or something. I saw a documentary.
The original one.
Yeah, I saw a documentary about like it's called like The Last Blockbuster.
I think back when I was like a little kid going there, I wish I bought a T-shirt or something.
Yeah,
like I wish I just had something original.
I'm sure you can go to Times Square and find a novelty T-shirt.
I wear knockoff shirts from the street guys all the time. I have a knockoff Leica shirt. It feels like sandpaper. There's no way Leica approved this, but the fact that I found a bootleg Leica shirt on a table and a Hasselblad shirt.
Really?
Yeah. The logo's too small, but I'm like, I'm down. Let's do this. I got one guy had nothing but knockoff Scorsese movie shirts, and they were like missing total details. I'm like, this is too funny. I have to buy every one of these. So half the time I'm on this channel wearing like knockoff bootleg shirts. It's so funny. Oh my God. If you guys have any questions, let us know in that chat. How many of you guys have seen some of Jeff's tutorials? What are ones that have stuck with you? Have you learned anything from this guy? I feel like every time I open my phone, you pop up with something. Yeah. One of the ones that comes up all the time, and I'm like, whatever, is the one with the cans that you put on the wall that you could then put that one's still around.
I thought I deleted that one. The tuna fish Profoto wall mount. Yeah.
He takes tuna fish cans, fastens them to a wall, and then that becomes a mount for your speed rings for Profoto.
Yeah, it's a 100mm ring. If you get
I don't have enough room for that. I don't, because a box takes up way too much room for me, so I'd rather just break them down.
Yeah.
But that one, I think I'd share it around.
Now you can. Well, I stopped doing that. Also, if you want to get the what works better, I never actually did a video about this, but this is what's on my wall, is the vent return for a dryer hose is 100mm as well. So it works better, and it's a little deeper, so it grabs on better. And you don't have to eat tuna.
Like, what is that? What does that smell like on a hot day in that studio?
Well, I washed it.
Yeah, but is it ever really clean?
Yeah,
it's tuna, bro.
So, yeah, if you want a good lunch and then mount your Profoto boxes to the wall.
He has a lot of omega-3s in him. This guy. No, but now Westcott makes a version of it. I think right? Doesn't Westcott make like an actual? I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. but the Amazon, you know, a hose for your dryer works better. It's cheaper. I mean, no.
You're killing me. You're killing me, man. So
You can probably get it at Home Depot too. I don't know. It's
so when I met you, you were shooting Lumix,
yes,
and you switched to Canon.
yeah.
What was the model of Canon that you started really gravitating towards? Like, what was really the workflow that?
So I was shooting with Panasonic. I liked it. It was Canon was something where I was like, this is a very recognizable brand. This is going to have a lot more, like, there's more of a future in it for me. And I needed a tether. That was the big one. I needed something that natively worked with
Capture One,
any tethering program. But yeah, Capture One. So the story of like how I ended up switching to Canon was kind of funny because I was like on the cusp of like, let's switch over. And I didn't really have a brand. I started out with Nikon, like my original camera I had. And then I just went and had lunch with a Canon rep, and I was like, "Can I switch this?"
Hey.
I was like, the only question I asked, like the shutter dial to be my thumb and the aperture to be my finger. That was like the only thing I required. I was like, "Can you switch those?" And he's like, "Yes." I was like, "All right, put an order in."
Well, that's the other thing. Is like, I don't think people realize how customizable every camera on the planet is. So you remember the days when someone would hand you their camera and you could just go shoot? Now they hand you a camera and like their shutter doesn't take a photo. It's like
They hand you the camera and then they hand you the manual.
well, like, here's my custom setup. Like they give you the like you know what you get like a box of chocolates and there's like a key, like a legend underneath that tells you what everything is. That's what people have to hand you now with their camera. You do a workshop and get someone's. How many times do you put a viewfinder? Like, what is all this junk you have on this viewfinder?
I need to start like sending people a PDF of like change your camera to all these settings before you come. It's mostly Sony that I like because I can't work with those menus.
If you're not used to any brand's menus, it's tough.
Yeah.
But my thing is when they have like an interface that must be so distracting. How do you shoot anything?
Yeah.
You've got a level doing this. Yeah. You've got a circle in the middle, and
you got a histogram right in the middle.
What are you doing? And they saw a channel that told them they need this information at all times.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you, or do you want to shoot something? You know?
Yeah. So I basically asked, I was like, if I can switch these dials, like put an order in. So I did. And
that you start out with for Canon? What model?
R5.
R5. You're still on the R5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like it. For me, it's great. You know, it's I don't honestly like. I'm not a. What do they call it? Pixel peeper. I don't need the extra megapixels. I was shooting with a 20 megapixel camera for the longest time, and it worked fine for most. Of the
I handed him a Hasselblad. He just spit on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, it's
garbage. No, but like I think it's what 45
45
something like that. You know, it's more than I need, but it's. For what it is, it's great. I probably want to get another. I'm trying to decide if I want to get like another R5 or if I want to get like or they'll probably come out with another one and then the R5 will be cheaper again.
The announcement of the R1 development, I think, is going to shift a lot of things. Yeah. One, I think you're going to see what the future of Canon is with the way they're doing the processing. Like, what is the next platform, right? I also think that when the R1 gets announced, prices of everything else shift a little bit, don't they, right?
Yeah.
So I think once we know what that flagship's going to be, I think everyone can have more of an idea of the next step for the R system. Not that they're not in a great place as it is. I mean, it's Canon, dude.
Right.
And they're glass. I think you've been leaning on some lenses on the R system.
I mean, I shoot 99% of my stuff with the kit 24 to 105 f4 lens.
And you guys see me using the 24 to 120 f4 as much as I can.
I love it. Honestly, for most of the stuff that I need, I've got like, I still have like one client from forever ago that I do like houses for. So I have the cheap RF, like 16 to 35 or something like that.
A cheap lens now is so good.
I know. I was like, is there not like absolutely like atrocious distortion? Cool. All right, I'll take it, you know?
Well, they also had to engineer even the lowest end lenses in the new series of cameras to resolve on a higher resolution. So they have to be sharper. They have to be clear. They have to be able to handle things.
Yeah.
People don't get that either. Even if a lens is $200, but it's in a series of cameras that has 45 megapixels, it's meant to resolve.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget that part. A lot of people talking in this chat right now. Yeah, the look of confusion on people's face when I tell them I have back button focus. So I am an anomaly. I actually fight Joe McNally all the time. I have my cameras always set up for half depressor focus, and then AF on is always to lock it. So I always have AFC on.
Yeah.
I'll focus, lock it, and then if I want to recompose, I can. So I always have AFC if I want it and if I don't.
Yeah. That is weird.
It's a habit I've had since film. I've had it forever. Yeah. It's a habit that I just can't break.
So, like with that, and this is like just a kind of question about that process for you, is obviously that came from like, we didn't like the eye focus thing is new, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a few years old now, but it's like relatively new in the grand scheme of the life of photography.
I was raised by guys who said I only need one focus point.
Yeah,
that's what.
When I shot DSLR, it was I did the one focus point and recompose.
Yeah,
you know, and I missed some focus, but for the most part, it was fine. I will say, eye autofocus has made me lazy.
Yep. I used to think it would make me shoot faster and like think differently, but now I'm just like, I'm done.
Yeah. Now I'm like, it's weird. I was like, oh, I missed that. Like, why did I miss that focus? Like, what happened? What's wrong?
Well, if you miss the focus and the camera did all the work, you're almost like it's out of my control now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know what to fix that or whatever. So what was the camera thinking?
Yeah. But I will say it's another kind of thing where it's like, it's more automated, but it's making it like easier, but it's not helping, I guess. I mean, it's helping speed up the process, but it's not helping me like be a better photographer. It's making photography a little bit easier.
Well, you're also shooting studio settings most of the time, right? People that are shooting like I recently just had to shoot boxing for a video that we have coming out. Stay subscribed. You're going to see that. Yeah, the eye autofocus to me having to worry about always being in there or using more closed down apertures, raising my ISO. Yeah. I could shoot shallow. I was like, okay, here it makes sense. Or shooting birds or whatever, because we know how much you guys like shooting birds. This whole industry will be brought to its knees so that somebody can shoot a bird. They have to have like a $6,000 camera with an f4 600
with a 5 million millimeter lens.
The amount of technology they throw into these cameras just for bird photography is insane.
I mean, you can literally, most cameras, you can go to a setting that is literally bird focus. Like, I know Panasonic does it.
Well, now you can actually choose what part of the subject, right? Do you want the body of the bird or the eye of the bird? It's like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to take a photo.
Yeah, I just want it to be relatively in focus. And if it's not, I'll throw it in black and white and call it a day.
I do that for high ISO. I'm like, hey, it looks noisy. No, it doesn't. It looks artistic.
Yeah.
There it is.
Like,
oh my God. Look, there's always something coming. Whatever is on the market now, there's always an update coming for it at some point. I just couldn't tell you when or what it's going to be. All right. But yeah, I mean, the technology, if you've had older habits, gets inhibited until you change yourself and the way you shoot.
Yeah.
So, for example, we were talking about this in my Discord. The Canon R3 has that eye control focus where wherever you look, it'll focus, right?
Right.
Well, my habits when I shoot is both eyes are open and I focused on something. I'm already looking at some other part of the frame to get the next shot. I probably would miss every shot if I don't change my habits.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of just like, I feel like this industry, like you as photographers, we need to be able to pivot, and not just with that, but like literally with anything, you know? I mean, it's like, if you're not adapting and pivoting, then you're just like going to get left in the dust. I mean,
that's what's happening now. I mean, a lot of old guys, I'm sorry, not old guys, a lot of veteran photographers that feel like they aren't getting as much work. I'm like, do you do video? And they're like, no. Well, every client I have asks for some form of video somewhere.
Right.
If you don't offer that, why would they go to you?
Right.
You know,
because they don't want to have to work with two people. I mean, realistically, I mean, like, they don't want to have to, like, I mean, honestly, it's like if they can just get it done with one person, even if the quality for both of those is slightly less, just the hassle of not having to deal with multiple sources and get files from different people, from one here and one there, like, that's worth it to them, you know? I mean, some clients, not all of them, obviously, but
anywhere you can offer a package, it's like going to a store. If you can't get everything you needed at one, it's annoying. You got you'll end up going back to the one that got you everything you needed. I totally get it.
And for all of your camera needs.
Oh, look, 42 West 18th Street. Look at that. Look at that. Nice plug. See this guy? This is a brand
trying
guy.
To steal his job. No.
I could use vacation. Let's do this. Jeff is now your new host, guys.
We'll do the evening show that's called Cocktails with Creators, and I'll host that one.
Well, yeah, I don't drink, so I couldn't do
exactly. So I will take that bullet.
Hey, out of all the trade shows, which do you feel is your personal favorite? Because I feel like you're always at all of them. So there's a different vibe.
Yeah. I don't love Vegas, so like I honestly like so WPPI is kind of off that list. But I mean, I always have a great time.
No,
but it's like they could literally have it anywhere, and it would be the same thing. Like it could be in Minneapolis. No, I mean that was just, and I just pulled that out. You know, it's like, but literally, it like because you don't leave the hotel.
No. And
you know, I mean, it's like
living in Times Square for the week, and I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
Everything's to eat
Yeah.
is like $40.
I
I'm
know.
like, just kill.
Well, I was talking to Will yesterday. I don't know if he's still. He probably had to go shoot and be at work now.
Will
but
Campina?
yeah, I was telling him, I was like, it would be rad if they like did it in Old Town Vegas. It would be cheaper.
Yeah, cool.
It would just be more fun. Like stay at the Golden
Photo
Nugget.
walks would be cool.
Photo box would be awesome. Like if that, because like no, because they're already now off the strip. But some guy was like, I can't believe they're doing it off the strip.
Yeah,
at the Rio. I was like, it's a block off the strip. Like
$75 rooms.
I know.
The rooms are $75.
Yeah.
Like it's cheap as hell.
But yeah, I was like, Old Town Vegas would be super rad if they could get like like permission to shoot on like Fremont, like the experience. But I don't know. I think that would just be cool and something different. Like I think that's one thing that WPPI needs is just a shock to the system and like just change it up a little bit. You know,
they've been coming back to like hard.
Yeah,
the last few years
and
have
it's
been
been really
beautiful.
good. Yeah,
I mean, I and the young crowd, like younger. I'm like, whoa, like where did these kids come from? But I will say there is something to imaging where they change where it is every year. That kind of gets your brain a little more like wired up. But
as long as they don't go to Louisville again, it'd be great.
Meanwhile, at Louisville, I probably did the best demo of my life in Louisville. And
well, you didn't knock your laptop over like you did in Nashville, so.
You had to bring this up, man.
I did.
You know what?
I
I'm proud of
noticed
that
now that it's all like your computer's all, it's not going anywhere.
Nope.
Now if it falls, it'll just snap in
Hey,
half.
I'm proud of that moment because I had a room of 700 people.
You talk about problem solving and adapting to what could have been a detrimental to anyone's day.
I didn't even start the demo yet, and the laptop hit the floor. Gary Hughes is doing my introduction, and it hits the ground.
Yeah.
700 people are like, oh.
But the fact that you got that on camera that's what made it, though.
Thanks, Jen, for that, by the way. But it was important to not freak out because they have to see what it's like. And if you will never solve anything by freaking out on set. Stop, think, what is a solution? Because going, no, doesn't help anyone. And if your client starts freaking out because you're freaking out, now you've lost trust.
Yeah. And even if you are freaking out internally, just keep it internal. You don't need to, no one needs to,
Well, in my head, I said, I was like, okay, if I pick up this laptop and it doesn't work, my Z9 has a full-size HDMI port now. I will just plug right into my camera and shoot straight from camera. Yeah. That's it. So in my head, I was like, there's no reason to freak out. I have a contingency plan here no matter what. And thankfully, cameras now are all full-size HDMI. Most of cameras are full-size HDMI.
Yeah.
So, which is, so good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
So happy.
That's because there was a minute where they were all the micro. I was like, who even makes those cables?
Actually, I think R5's micro.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't ever.
This camera's mini. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you want to go to like anywhere and find anything that's not a full-size HDMI cable?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Do you remember when cameras did the micro B tethering port?
Do you remember when it was mini?
That wasn't.
Do you remember when it was
wait,
mini?
which one's the one that's like
Two?
The 2.
That's
micro
3.0.
B, right? No,
That's micro B3. Yeah.
absolutely god awful.
But what was awful was the era where you could have 3 cameras from the same brand, but they were different tiers. One would be mini, one would be micro, one would be micro 3, micro B. And micro was the worst, but they always put that on like the little vlogging cameras.
Yeah.
You just knew it was going to break.
Yeah. I'm just glad everything's going to C. It just seems it's just like sturdier. It just feels better.
It's watertight. It's everything,
Yeah.
and it's all the same. And it can be different speeds, but now the the actual physical stays the same, which is what we're seeing with CF Express Type B cards. Because for a while it was XQD cards, but they were physically the same port. So now firmware updates, and we can use CF Express B.
I don't ever put a card in my camera, so.
I do because I can shoot back up to it.
Yeah.
But what I would love to see is integration of Ethernet cables for tethering. You can in some cases, and you can to brand specific software. But you can go on forever with Ethernet cable.
Yeah,
and it clicks in, it doesn't rip out.
Yeah,
I would love that. And
do you think there's going to be like an updated version of like the Ethernet cable though?
Well, we're at Cat 6.
Well, I know. I just mean like the actual like plug. It always seems like a little flimsy, like the little thing. That's not what makes it. That's just what locks it in.
But that's
it
'cause it's
always.
plastic.
I know, but you'd think there'd be some better version. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand that because there's definitely like, and you've routed like the longest cable ever, and then you click it in, it's like shaking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if they made it out of some kind of metal or whatever. I also wonder at what point do you reach a limit and the port has to physically change like USB did.
Right.
But not a lot of people are using Ethernet unless you're shooting like sports, press, you're shooting the wire. But I remember a million years ago watching the first time I saw someone use an Ethernet cable, I was like, oh my God, it locks in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so long. Like, why can't I have a cable that does this? And I just think that would be cool to see that. But now you see everyone trying to push wireless. Everything is like wireless tethering, wireless
Get me
that.
started with that.
Well, wireless tethering.
It will never replace hardwired.
Tell me why.
Because here's why. The wireless. My watch told me to stand up. I'm gonna stand up for a minute. No, but here's the thing with the wireless tether. Yes, it's getting faster. It's getting better. But what else is happening with cameras? Sensors are getting bigger, more megapixels. So like as the wireless tethering gets better,
But compression's getting better too.
it is. But I still don't think it's like a good wireless tether connection is like a second, maybe more.
But for me, I don't even want to risk anything if what I'm shooting is my livelihood. I want to see it connected. I want to see it together.
Yeah.
Because if I'm wired in and I lose the connection, it'll go to card. At least I got it there.
Right.
And Capture One's new thing, you plug it back in and it siphons all the stuff out of your card and puts it right back into place.
Is
amazing.
And I need to figure out how to get that to work better.
What?
Because here's and maybe you can help me with this. So I've like done that. So if you lose connection or like somehow your cable comes out, which it rarely does, but if it does, what has been happening with me, and it might just be something with like maybe it's just a me thing, it'll start like re-importing files that I've already tethered, so then I'll have duplicates of everything.
Oh, that I've never seen.
And it's super annoying. So that's why I take my card out, because I was like, I don't really want that to happen. So there's probably a setting in a menu somewhere that I need to like but I'm
wondering if it's about the card slot.
It might also be from the capture tokens, like the naming tokens.
Yeah.
It's probably like, oh, it's reading it as two separate files, because like as it comes in, like I'm using a program that like
it's giving you like two raw files or
two raw files.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Wow. That's
So-
actually kind of cool because you do have
Yeah, but then I'm like having two of the same exact raw file.
And you're sitting there letting it do this. Yeah.
Right. And then like if I unplug it and plug it back in, it starts from the top, and then it's like I'll have to sit there and wait for.
Dude, the first time I did that, I was like, "This is amazing."
I mean, it is really cool.
Like,
It does it on the iPad now too with the tether with the iPad.
And you were big on doing with. So this guy looks like a tour guide at these trade shows. He puts on a headset. He puts on a
And
headset.
I looked like a TGI Fridays waiter.
That's it. That's pretty good. He has the iPad like this on like a strap, and he's like, "Okay, everybody." And it looks like he's literally doing a tour. And I'm like,
It
"What are you
works
doing?"
for trade shows and workshops. I don't do that when I'm like shooting clients.
Why you always look for these like other methods? You're the only guy on this entire trade show that's walking around like he's gonna take my order in a drive-through. I'm like, what is going on here?
My roller skates and
Next thing I know, you're working at a Sonic.
Yeah, the iPad, I like it.
Yeah,
it's not replacing my like normal workflow for clients, but
Yeah.
for workshops and demos, I do like it because I can be really mobile with it.
And light,
Yeah. So
I just feel
I'm not like. When I integrate like people into my workshops, I don't want them to trip over anything. That's more of like a liability on me, So I'm like, if I can keep my screen and my camera and my cable all attached to myself, and I fall, it's fine.
I kept on hearing like because we had you doing demos at the Adorama booth, and Teresa was like, he wants to know if this would work. He wants to know if that would work, and I'm like, what is he doing? And then when I remember the show,
I brought my own Apple TV.
No, I know. So we're doing the trade show. Everybody gets chaotic, right? Like I'm heading to other demos. All of a sudden, I'm walking past our Adorama's own booth. I'm like, what is he doing? It literally looked like you were about to give a tour guide onto on a double-decker bus. I was like, what is this happening? But people were into it, and people also like seeing that capability in front of their face.
And that's kind of part of it too. And it's almost like a novelty thing.
It is a little novelty.
I'm like, yeah, it's cool. You can do it. Like but
And he's also got his own shirt, like his own logo shirt. So it's like he looks like he's selling tour guides. Like, all right, Readylight Media, let's do this. But how many years do we do trade shows where I'm not gonna name names, but like brands would make you use their latest stuff and it wasn't ready for prime time. So you're like shooting wired and it was sending like a small JPEG to a screen, but you're waiting for a raw file to show up. And like you're doing these talks and you're like, oh my God, just let me
at that point. You're already uncomfortable because you're like trying to use something you don't know how to use.
Yeah, it's always like that. That's where they want to showcase the newest
stuff. And I'm totally fine with doing that, but it's like, it's hard for me to promote something that I'm not like fully sold on myself, right? So
it's also like, is it the right time, right? If it's something I don't actually use, are we really, is it time to like, we're being in front of a lot of people. Do you want me to have a tech with me all the time?
Right.
Like.
I think that's where you and I are similar in the sense of like, I'm not pushing products that I'm not actually using. You know what I mean? Like it's, if I use it, I'll talk about it. Yeah. I'll tell you all day long about it. But like if it's, I'm not going to sit here and like do a video about something that haven't tested or haven't used and then tell you it's great when I'm not actually going to use it.
No. And I think that's super important. But
that's why I only have 7,000 YouTube subscribers.
Hey, I'm almost up to 80,000. So the way I look at my position right now in this industry, outside of my actual like freelance shooting, like this, I try to look at myself as a translator for what is happening with the gear, what it actually does, how it translates to us who are going to use it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people like, well, what does this mean? Well, do I need this? What's a stack sensor? Why would I want that?
Right.
That's my job.
Well, and it depends on too, like who are you talking to? I'm not always talking to people that shoot the exact same style and stuff as me. Like you have to kind of spread that out and be like, hey, like if you shoot products, this, that, and the other, like this might work for you. It doesn't work for me. Like I wouldn't use it, but it's like, but it's something, you know what I mean? It's like,
it's good for you though. It's good for you though. You go
like
play with
everybody's
that.
a little bit different, That's kind of the, like even with like workflow, I always tell people, I was like, I can't teach workflow. I can teach you what I do. But your brain's wired differently than my brain. Everybody is. And it's like, pick something from me, pick something from you, pick something from everybody and make your own, because that's what's going to work better for you. Like you can't.
They have to want to do that. That's the hardest thing is people just want an answer instead of developing themselves.
Yeah. Well, right. And that's why I'm not worried about like everybody who wants to be a photographer, like taking any of my business from me. There's plenty of business to go around for one. And then there's so many people that will be like, oh, this is actually like hard. You can't just like snap your fingers and just be a commercial photographer. Like there's a lot.
Companies are telling me, they say, look, this will think for me, this will edit for me.
I mean, to an extent, yeah, but it is. There's still a little bit of you gotta do it yourself a little bit, but and that's just kind of.
Oh my gosh. You guys are right in that chat. We're getting set to wrap up in a little bit. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time. But for real, just been great to this industry. He's one of the most generous guys with sharing whatever he thinks is worth sharing. Questionable sometimes. No, but just so you guys know, you can go check out his Instagram where he's constantly showing you guys all sorts of stuff. And BTS, any shot that he puts up, more likely than not, he has like a video or a diagram showing you like what.
I need to redo that one. It cut off the edges. If you do it in normal. But that one's all about perceived size. So
what is this program anyway?
So that's Satellite 3D. It's made for like pre-production. It's a super awesome program. So basically it's like this German company that I've been using for a few years now. And they, if you go to elixir.com, it's spelled weird. But if you go to that, it basically, you can build a set, like, and it's great for people like in the city too. Like if you don't have a studio, you can go like test stuff out. You can literally be sitting there watching Netflix and like build sets and stuff. And it's very accurate. And then the animation features in beta. So like I'm one of a elite few that have access to that. But it's cool. They keep telling me they're going to release it for like 3 years now, and they haven't. So hey guys, if you're watching, people want it. But honestly, it's great for teaching because I'm able to show. And now that if I forget to do a behind the scenes photo, which I do a lot, now I can be like, that I can't just like,
that's a good.
I have this thing where I was like, man, like that was a rad photo, but I forgot to take behind the scenes. Now I can't post on my Instagram kind of thing. So now I can. But yeah, it's a really cool program I've been using for a long time that has like it's just allowed me to just like to tinker with stuff too. Like
That's
cool. If I'm just like sitting there, I'll just be sitting I can be sitting at a restaurant, and just be like kind of boom, 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 boom. You know, I think it's like a couple $100,
and it keeps
perpetual
your brain
license.
working in that headspace.
And they're constantly updating like gear and stuff, and you can like you can put your own lights in there. So like if I use the Profoto stuff. So like I basically took the specs of like however it's like a 9-stop light, like the A2 or something like that, and then it's probably not really 9 stop. Is it 9? 10? I don't know. 10 stops. So you can basically put that in. You can then like it's 100 watts a second light, so you can put that in and then like do 10 stops, and it'll be very accurate. And the idea of it is you can literally like print out all the information with diagrams, with literally the height, the angle, the camera settings.
Kill all the fun, by the way. Just
no, but but in theory, you could print that out, hand it to an assistant. They could set the entire thing up and be like 99% of the way there before a client shows up.
It's like a CAD program.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it's essentially a CAD, and it runs off of like you have to have a semi-sizable processor to use it, but I mean you can use it on like a laptop and stuff. But the animation takes forever because it
popped up, it was everywhere.
No, yeah.
I mean, I saw like every educator on every platform using it to some degree. Yeah, I know this gnat's been around. But it is pretty cool to keep your head thinking in a way, which is really nice to see. I didn't even think about it took me a while to get used to like I have to have BTS of everything I'm doing. That turned into this you have to at this especially on this side of things.
And it kind of takes some of the fun out of it, you know, but it's like
it makes it double the work.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's more important than the shot. And I'm like, what am I doing? But Abcise is the king of this. I've been on set with that guy, and that dude will pull out like 2 dollies that are like automatic, you know, genies or whatever. and they're going like this while he's shooting. And I'm like, man, this guy's got it dialed. Ab, you're watching. You know what's up. Oh my God.
I need to talk to you about a light meter at some point if you're listening.
Well, light meter, what is that ancient?
I don't know. TTL instead.
Forget about it. Yo, listen, Jeff, thanks so much for coming through, man. If you guys want, check out his pages. I'm not kidding you. You're going to pick up a tip one way or another on what he's doing. He's constantly putting stuff out there. I do want to thank Canon for sponsoring this. I mean, it's kind of crazy, the lineup. We were just talking about, you have the R5, R6 II, R50, R8, R7, R10, R100. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's a fleshed out mirrorless system. Lots of great lenses. Check out the links down below for all the Canon stuff. And, you know, if you check out what he's shooting with, you'll be seeing some stuff right out of Canon. So there's that as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anything you want to promote before we're out? Is there anything going on besides the one ticket you need to sell for your workshop this weekend?
No, but somebody should buy it. So I made t-shirts that looks like this kind of.
I'll rock a t-shirt.
I'll bring you one.
Where can they find you?
So if you go to my Instagram, which I'm sure there's or nextlevelworkshops.com is probably the quickest way. But if you go to my Instagram, click the link in the bio, which is my link tree, that'll have like a bunch of stuff that like it'll have that 3D program. I've got links to a bunch of different stuff on there. So Readylight Media on Instagram, click the link, shoot me a message if you have questions. I'll send you a discount code to the workshop because I'm that nice.
Yeah,
and I want to sell the other ticket.
You sure you're not an influencer? Jeez. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to check out the rest of this playlist. This is episode 26, I believe. So 27. So we've got 20. Oh, yeah, it is 27. So we got 26 other episodes for you guys to check out, and this has been going on since I built the event space. Gavin Hoey is live this week at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Go check that out, and I don't know, follow us and hit subscribe and all the other good stuff. He will definitely hawk the comments because he wants to know how much people love him. So drop
I've been
a comment.
watching this.
Well, this is a chat room.
Oh, yeah.
Comments.
Oh, yeah.
You're not a YouTube guy.
Nice.
But,
I am. I have a channel. It's just no one comments, so I never log in.
Yo, be good to each other out there. Hit like, subscribe, all the stuff, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Later.
See ya.